Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Light Conversations with Bob. I hope these conversations are providing you with a little bit of laughter with the drivers and a little bit of insight into their psyche. As always, I hope all of you and your families are healthy and safe. This week, our guest is Timmy Hill. He's the 27-year-old Maryland driver who has made quite a name for himself the last month in iRacing, and we thought this would be a good time to hear from him. So here's our interview with Timmy Hill. Well, I'd like to welcome Timmy Hill, driver of the number 66 Motorsports Business Management Toyota. Most of the time was Ford in the Daytona 500 for team owner Carl Long, and he's the 2011 NASCAR Xfinity Series Rookie of the Year. Timmy, you've raced race cars. You've been racing it since on national level since 2011. You didn't just show up on iRacing the other day. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. No, I've been around a long time, and it's fun to get a little more recognition now because of iRacing. But no, I've definitely been here for a long time. Like you said, won that Rookie of the Year back in 2011, so I've been here ever since. So glad to be part of this. Glad to see the growth in my career continue to keep growing, and hopefully it doesn't stop now.
Yeah, and Timmy Hill is the 2009 Allison Legacy Series champion. And that's one of the development series that drivers have used to get to the top levels in NASCAR. Former champions Regan Smith, Trevor Bayne was champion of that series, John Hunter Nemechek. So, Timmy, I got to ask you, is that trophy anywhere? Is there an Allison Legacy Series trophy in a case somewhere?
Yeah, I have all my win trophies back when we won tons of races back then, and I got my championship trophies all back home in Maryland, though, at my parents' house. And fun fact, one of the race cars that we used in the Allison Legacy Series, when I moved out to go run ARC and some K&N races back then, my brother Tyler raced in the Allison Legacy the following couple of years, and he took the car that I drove, and we actually still had that car back home in our garage. So we never sold it, never got rid of it. So I just got a video actually yesterday that my brother sent me. He fired the engine up and run the car up and down the driveway. So we still got the car that we won the championship with. My brother won the championship a couple years later, and I have all the trophies back home.
Wow, that's great. And I wanted to bring up some of that racing history because a lot of people are just getting introduced to you now in your 10th year of National Series racing. And are you thinking at all like saying, hello, I've been here nearly 100 Cup starts, nearly 200 Xfinity starts. Is it strange to get the notoriety now when you've been around in racing for a decent amount of time?
Yeah, it's tough to hear the race fans who say, "Hey, I never heard of this guy before." You know, that's tough because, like I said, I've been around a long time, been around 10 years, and part of that reason is because we don't get a lot of television time that some of these others do get, and part of that is because we typically run 20th, 25th on a good day, and it's tough because I drive for teams that just don't have the funding to compete at a much higher level, and it's allowed me to grow my career at a quiet pace that under the radar. And when I do achieve success, it's a bigger story. But one of these years, I would love to really showcase opportunity. I felt like I've really gained experience over these 10 years I've been driving. I've got well over 300 starts now between Cup, Xfinity, and trucks, and um, it's fun to kind of showcase my talent a little bit in iRacing. I won a lot of races growing up. It wasn't like I just some guy that decided I want to go NASCAR racing. I can't get it done here. I won a lot of races growing up. I've been fortunate that go karts and legend cars and stuff like that. When we had the money to field a car that could win races, we won races. But right now, it's kind of tough at times. We can muster up some sponsorship and we can put on a good show like we did at Daytona, where we finished third in the Xfinity race and made the Daytona 500. And at times we can get the sponsorship put together and run well, but I would love to do that on a regular basis.
Well, a lot of people might not know, but your dad raced, and he has about 8 Cup starts. And one of the teams he raced for was Rick Ware. He drove for Rick Ware Racing, and you spent several years there. And I'm curious, what was your first memory of race cars and the racetrack?
I know one vivid memory I have was at Kentucky Speedway. I was just a little kid, and a lot happened that weekend. They had Bandolera legend car races out there, and I told my dad, I said, "Hey, how come these young kids over here racing and I'm not racing?" And that's what kind of really got the ball started as far as go kart racing for me. And in that particular race, the Truck Series, my dad's running for, I think it was Rick Ware in that particular race. And back then they had a hard charger award. So basically, whoever passed as many trucks um, to achieve that award. So my dad got that big check and the trophy there. I remember taking that picture with him, and that was a very vivid memory for me. So I really enjoyed being at the racetrack as a kid. Really got really stuck that bug in me as far as I really wanted to race myself. And my dad built a lot of relationships back then, and it really helped me get my career started.
Okay, and so you're a young racer and you're racing some on the racetrack. You're doing some iRacing off the racetrack. You become one of the top iRacing drivers on ovals in the nation. So when people were asking, "What do you tell them, "Hey, I won this Allison Legacy Series championship," or do you tell them, "Hey, a I'm top driver in iRacing"?
It's tough, right now, I mean, I can have a variety of different titles. I like to just consider myself just, a NASCAR driver, and I can kind of list off a lot of the things I've done in my career, and that's a long time ago. People want to know what you're doing now, so I enjoyed talking about iRacing because um, I loved using that tool. It's a tool I've used all my career, and I kind of use it as a refresher for myself when I go to these real life tracks. And so when we started doing this iRacing stuff on FS1, it was a lot of fun because I kind of had a head start. Um, I knew my own setup. I knew what I liked the best, and I knew I'd be ready for this. I knew iRacing is a simulator, so it's a big challenge. You can't just hop in and go. It takes time, it takes practice, and I was prepared to put the work in.
Well, I see that you're sitting in your iRacing rig, which, I think a lot of people know who've been watching is a chair and a 12-year-old steering wheel that I think it's like a security blanket for you, right? Almost. I'm curious, like, do you have an iPhone 7 or are you up on all technology except you just love the steering wheel?
I think I'm up on all technology. These things, phones, they seem like they fry up in about 2 years. So I keep that thing going because otherwise it gets too slow. And yeah, the iRacing wheel is it's been comfortable for me. And I just never wanted to change it. It's kind of like, if you're in a real race car, you have a certain size wheel you want to run and certain position that you like to sit in the seat. And that's just kind of for me. I've had offers to change setups, but what that requires me to do is sit in a different position I'm normally comfortable with, look at the monitor in a different way that I've been used to, and have a wheel that could have a different size wheel or different feel. So I didn't want to change that. It's what I was used to. It works good for me, and I didn't want to change what I was already doing.
Like, eventually it'll break, right?
Yeah, it will. And the wheel that I use is a Logitech G27. This particular wheel they don't even make anymore. They've already reached out to me saying, "Hey, we'll give you the new wheel right now." And I'm kind of holding on hope right now.
So, I mean, when you're in the race car and you get angry, do you ever bang the wheel and do you have to avoid that or else thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do that here?
Well, you certainly do have real feelings. I try not to bang my own wheel though, because I know how much I do love it. Now I can't speak for other drivers. I've seen different videos of people really getting mad and slamming drinks down, or whatever they may be. So I try not to personally do that.
Well, I guess that brings a question. If you had a glass of milk, would you slam a glass of milk down or is milk too precious? And do you love milk so much that you wouldn't? Because I mean, we talked about before your big win in iRacing a few weeks ago, and you said you celebrated it with a glass of milk.
Yeah, no, I think I'd probably have it down before I could even smash it. So um, I think it's too precious. I love milk. I'm actually out of milk right now. The grocery stores only allow us to buy 2 gallons at one time. I typically buy 3 or 4 when I go. So I'm having to go to the grocery store quite a bit now, than more than I want to. So it's too valuable.
Do you drink milk on like a regular race weekend? A lot of drivers might avoid that, worried that might upset their stomach.
No, I don't, just because we don't keep it on the hauler. Heck, I could. It may be a suggestion I could put in the jar for Carl Long's group to bring me a gallon of milk each weekend.
Well, it certainly kind of adds to your story, and I'm curious if you enjoyed the notoriety and all the interviews. You seem to be a guy who I've known who seems to kind of roll with the flow.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely do roll the flow most weekends. Um, I'm in a position that it'd be tough for a lot of drivers to um, do the things that I do on a regular basis. But I tell people all the time, I love NASCAR, I love racing, and I wouldn't want to trade this job to do any other time for anybody in the world. So I would love more of a bigger opportunity for myself. But I love doing what I do. So the interviews I've been getting over the last few weeks have been a big blessing. My sponsors really appreciate that. It's been getting their name out there. So I've really been enjoying this.
Yeah, I want to say that at Richmond a couple of years ago, I think you were parked right next to Dale Jr., right? When one of his comebacks. And so all the media is sitting there and you're just kind of standing there watching it. And we were chatting a little. I mean, when you see that, what goes through your mind as far as like, do you wish you had that type of notoriety? Is there a point where you're glad you don't have that type of notoriety? Are you like, just give me one chance in that race car and let me see what I can do?
It's cool. At times I do get jealous. You see that and say, man, really want that for myself. At the same time, I'm sure those guys, they never get a break from it. So I do enjoy the fact that I can kind of live a pretty normal lifestyle without having that much pressure on myself. But at the same time, I do get jealous. I would love at least one chance to just hop in a really top tier race car and just say, hey, I can do it. And or for those people who think I can't do it, maybe prove them right. But I think I'm ready for it. I got enough experience now. I've really got the feel of really all three series. I could be prepared to, in my opinion, win any race in any top tier series. So that's what I really hope for.
Yeah, and uh, have you figured out the way to balance how much you can talk about that and say, "Hey, I can be better and better equipment," without kind of not sounding like sour grapes or trying to sound cocky, yet trying to, I guess, sell yourself, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, one thing I talked to Carl Long and all of our owners at MBM Motorsports about this, often. At times we know that we're fighting a lot of issues that we can't solve right now, and that's because of money and time and resources. And um, we all agree that once we put money towards our program, we show instant results every time. I mean, when we went to Bristol last year, we got some sponsorship to run better, and we bolted tires on the car. We didn't change anything else besides putting tires on our car. We finished top 10. Then we go to Daytona, we ran a motor, put tires on the car again. We finished third. And at times where we're able to put money into the car, results show. And when we don't have money to put into the car, those results show. So I think it's not so much me trying to put down the team I drive for. It's more the fact that we just don't have the resources and the money to compete with these guys on a regular basis. And I think they understand that as well.
And it's talking about money. The fact that your iRacing success has landed you a sponsor, right? And and not only for the iRaces coming up, but for the Brickyard. How crazy is that?
So it's been a neat blessing, really. It's this iRacing has been a great platform for us to really get my name out there, along with our '66 team with NBM Motorsports, get people more familiar with Timmy Hill and NBM Motorsports. So that has been able to create more opportunities for us. It's created opportunities for us to get us in front of new sponsors that may have never seen us before, and it's created opportunities to have our existing sponsors want to join us for more races. So that's been really fun. It's been a neat blessing. We already have many talks when we do go back racing about what races we already do have sold. So it's exciting.
And does the fact that you have success in iRacing kind of help you, I guess, maybe give you hope that, hey, I am better than this guy who averages a 25th place or a 30th place finish every week?
Yeah, it does. One thing about iRacing is the cars are all the same, and everybody has the same opportunity. And basically, the only thing that changes from first to 35th in a iRacing race is your ability. So yeah, it's not the real thing. And trust me, I'm not trying to say that it is, but there's a lot of similarities that there are to the real life cars. And um, put it this way, some no talent guy is not going to win races on this iRacing thing. I promise you that. And I'm sure William Byron would say the same thing. It takes a lot of practice, takes a lot of effort. Um, and it's going to take a lot of talent to win these races. So anybody who says otherwise, they're just lying to you.
Yeah, and as we talked earlier, your dad drove some for Rick Ware, you drove for Rick Ware, now you're driving for Carl Long. I mean, you've seen these guys, and you say, well, hey, if they just had some money, they'd be better. But yet they're almost, in some ways, it's a struggle to just stay where they are, right? And you're trying to build things happen so slowly. Where does the hope come from? Where's the hope that, hey, at some point we'll be able to get to, even let's just say where front row is?
Right. For us, we're small enough. NBM's a small enough company where we're not building a lot of our own stuff. We're reliant on other teams. So We're having to go buy cars from other teams and spindles and all the suspension pieces. We're not really building our own stuff. So that at that point, we're depending on those race teams. And for us, if we don't have the money to go buy these particular pieces, then we're stuck with things that we bought, 4 or 5 years ago, just because we got to take that money and we got to rent a motor or buy a motor or, buy tires or hire people. So that's where the hope for more money will help us, but ultimately, money helps you grow, helps you do things, help you buy things that ultimately will make you faster on the racetrack. So that's where that hope comes from.
And you are also a team owner. You have a truck team. Um, do you put your whatever you make in cup into that? And I guess why try that when you don't have the millions to invest and get it to where you wish it could be right now?
Yeah, one thing I do want people to know about my truck team is I'm not doing it for a business. I'm doing it just for helping my career, helping my brother's career. Everything that the truck team makes, it goes right back into the truck team. I don't draw a check from it at all. Some weekends I'm actually losing money on it. So the purpose behind that was to kind of help steer my own career if the case ever came to the fact where maybe I didn't have a ride. People know my career that I've kind of I'm hanging on by a thread in NASCAR, and I know I have the ability to do this. And I think I've shown that in a lot of cases where I've taken cars who maybe shouldn't make the show, and I can qualify into races with those cars. And it's not flashy, but it gets the job done. It makes teams money, and that's why I've been able to stay in this sport as long as I have. But at the same sense, I want to be able to create an opportunity where I can compete, do well, showcase my talent, showcase my brother's talent. So that's the reason why I built the truck team. Why I'm doing this. It's a heck of a lot of work. Really, is a lot more work than I really want to do, but I know that will pay off and have big rewards in the end. In our first year, we only ran 9 races and we finished top 5 at Martinsville. And my brother finished 11th for his best race. So we're clicking results off already. I'm excited to see the growth of my truck team, and it kind of helps steer my own direction, my own career. So that's a big plus for it.
And do you just love competition? Do you just love the speed of a race car? What keeps you going, week in and week out?
Yeah, just I'm definitely a big competitor. That's why when it comes to iRacing, whether it comes to real life racing or whether you know my wife and I are just on a walk and we beat each other to the stop sign down the road. So I'm a competitor. I love it. Race cars are a big part of my life. I love working on race cars, everything that goes along with it. I love the team aspect as well. I love working alongside guys that I spend a lot of times in the garage with. You learn their stories, and it's just nice family atmosphere. So really everything that comes along with NASCAR, I really love about it.
And so what's next for you? Finally, like how long do you race? And do you say, okay, there's a time where I'm going to stop racing and shift to full time, just concentrating as being an owner?
Yeah, for me, I want to race as long as I can. I think most everybody, you kind of know when maybe your talents start to kind of tip off the ledge, start going the other way. If I feel like I can't get the job done any longer, then I'll probably just step back and become an owner. But when I started my truck team, I never had these big desires to be a NASCAR owner. That wasn't my goal. It just kind of happened, and I saw the opportunity. I kind of jumped on it, and it kind of created another avenue for when I get done racing that I can jump into that role. So I think I got a lot of years left in me, so I'm not worried about that right now. Um, I look to be a race car driver for a long time.
And finally, moving ahead, you've got these iRaces. You have Pit Boss Grills, right, is on your car
Yep.
for these races and for the race at the Brickyard. I mean, are you just how excited are you for not only this iRacing competition, but to get back on the track?
Yeah, I'm really excited. We love iRacing, and I think the fans enjoy the show that we put on for those guys. And trust me, I love winning on iRacing, but we can't wait to get back to real life racing. We're all getting the itch. I'm tired of walking to the shop and see my trucks up on jack stands. I want to get back to real life racing. I enjoy seeing everybody's faces at the racetracks, and I think everybody just wants to get back to a normal lifestyle.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Thanks again for taking the time to talk to me, Timmy, and good luck in the eNASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Series race, 1 p.m. Sunday on Fox. Check your local listings, FS1, and the Fox Sports app. Well, thanks everyone for taking the time to watch our conversation with Timmy Hill. Our previous conversations with William Byron, Matt DiBendetto, and Austin Dillon are on our Facebook and YouTube channels. Also, you can check out conversations that Lindsay Zarniak has with drivers from Race Hub, which airs daily on FS1 Monday through Thursday at 6 p.m. We also have more iRacing than just Sunday. We have a weekly iRacing series on Wednesday nights on FS1. Thanks again, everyone, and especially a big thank you to those in the industries that are keeping us safe, keeping us healthy, keeping us fed, and providing other essential services that allow us to live in a stay-at-home society. See you next week.
For more great NASCAR on Fox content, subscribe to our channel. It's somewhere right around here.